I'm going to talk about cognitive load and how to prevent the overload. And I'm going to show you some things that I do with my students and how I attempt to prevent this for when they are doing presentations. So first we'll start with, what is it? Cognitive overload is when students or teachers or any person cannot focus on important specific information due to the overcrowding of fonts and pictures, videos, colors, designs, etc. When there's too many things going on and they're unable to pull the most important items, this is when the cognitive overload happens, which I feel like happens often with teachers and students alike. It's not just the students who are at fault. So here's an example I see from some of my students. This is not the worst that I have seen, but this is a current one from this year. I've talked previously about my Greece God or Goddess project that I do, and this is an example from one of their slides that I'm going to actually show you here in a minute. But it isn't overloaded with pictures. It isn't overloaded with videos and sounds and colors, but it is unorganized. And when she is presenting, due to the bolding and the different fonts and the different sizes, the students really aren't sure if she's giving us a complete thought or if it is a fact or is this the important information. Is the important information that she's the goddess of something or that she's the goddess of marriage and family? They're not really sure. The picture, is fine. It's not too big, but her caption to go with the picture is kind of off to the side and it just doesn't really make sense. So no, this isn't the worst that you can do, but it is an example that I believe is cognitive overload when they're presenting. So the importance of good fonts and organization, this is something that I teach them when we are setting up our slides. I teach them that their font should make sense. They can't be too crazy or hard to read because some people will be reading it along with listening. And they need to understand that the bolded text is that this is something that's super important and the viewers' eyes should look at that and think that they need to and know that they need to remember it because it's an important part of their slide. I included the standard student 6D. Students publish or present the content that customizes a message and medium for their intended audience, just because I feel like they do need to accomplish this goal of presenting for their intended audience, meaning me or their classmates, and they should do it in a good way with having good organization and good fonts and colors that they are choosing. The next one is how to prevent the cognitive overload is to be helpful to your students to design these PowerPoints. I help my students set up their slides so it's organized in a certain way and they know where to put their information because, when they're in sixth grade, this is a newer thing to them. And I included the standard Teacher 3D that you model and facilitate the effective use of digital tools and, support and use information researching and learning. So I believe that the research that I'm doing now helps me support the effective use of the Google Slides. So I'm going to actually show you an example of one of my Greece projects. So this is a slide that I showed you. Another one is I'm just going to kind of show you the titles that I help them create. They break it down into their weapons and symbols. Again, different fonts, different bold. Is peacock more important than the pomegranates? Really not sure. It's not